If you get bored easily using the same gun over and over and over again in Warzone, I've got good news for you. You do not need to use the Krig to compete in Warzone. In this video, I'm going to show you 2 assault rifles that are not only more accurate than the Krig, but they also kill faster. Essentially, this video is really about the 3 most accurate and easiest to use guns in Warzone. First, I'm going to show you the TTK or time to kill data for all 3 of these guns, plus their movement stats. Then we're going to compare their recoil patterns and check out their meta builds. And by the end of the video, you're going to be confident that there's at least 2 other assault rifles that you can use besides the Krig and still compete in Warzone. So I use the True Game Data website, a very, very cool website that you should all be checking out and supporting. I use that website to create a comparison between these 3 guns, the Krig, the QBZ, and the Kilo. So here we're going to look at the TTK or time to kill for all 3 of these guns and see where they stand. Got the orange here is the Kilo. Old school Kilo was the meta for quite a while. A lot of people enjoyed it. They thought it wasn't the worst of the metas. It certainly wasn't the DMR or some of the other ones that were just absolutely horrible. But with this gun, people were notorious for being able to beam people from very long ranges. And the time to kill at that point in the game was pretty quick. This pink or purplish pink color here is the Krig. And then here in this bluish, greenish blue color is the QBZ, which personally I think is the best competitor for the Krig and in a lot of ways is better than the Krig. So here let's look at this chart. We've got the distance to target down here from 0 meters all the way out to this is 40, 60 meters, 80 meters, and so on. Okay, and then over here we've got the time to kill in seconds. All right, so if we look right here, once we get to this point here, this is 1 full second that it takes to kill somebody from when you begin hitting them with bullets to when you finish hitting them with bullets, if you land every shot. Okay, and right now let me scroll up here and show you we're looking at chest shots. Okay, that's what we're looking at with this chart. So going back down here, the light blue QBZ with chest shots wins pretty much the entire time. There's a short amount of time here around the 50 meter mark, just a couple of meters worth of distance, where the Kilo and the Krig actually do a bit better because the QBZ's its damage drop off starts right here. Okay, but this is just a couple of meters of distance, and the QBZ's time to kill doesn't jump up that high. Now once we get out here, look at the Kilo. Time to kill jumps way up here into the 840 or so, maybe 850 milliseconds time to kill, and then the Krig goes from here all the way up to here. It's like 875 or something like that, 880 milliseconds. Okay, time to kill, and that does extend all the way out here through to infinity pretty much. It goes all the way. There's no other damage drop-offs. With the Kilo there's this third damage range. It's another damage drop-off they added. This is the only thing that stopped the Kilo back in the day. Otherwise that thing was this damage all the way to infinity. And it was insane. If you played with it, you remember it before this damage drop-off was added, it was crazy. But look at the QBZ. When it enters this damage range here, it's only about like 750 here and just extends all the way out. So it beats the Krig with chest shots all day long, and certainly beats the Kilo. Alright, now let's go up and take a look. Let's change this to stomach shots, another relatively popular area to hit people. Alright, here, check this out. With stomach shots, the Kilo is king. All the way out until about 50 meters, and then it has that damage jump. It jumps way up into the higher, time to kill right up here, and it goes out to the next damage drop off, and then it goes way up here well over 1 full second to kill. It's just terrible. The QBZ is the next one for stomach shots, and then of course the Krig is behind the QBZ. So the Krig, once again, in my opinion, loses. Okay, so where does the Krig start to excel? Let's take a look at the extremities. Nope, not here either. So once again, the Kilo is dominant with extremities, followed by the QBZ and then the Krig. Now the QBZ for extremities, once it hits this next damage range here, it's not as good when you're shooting arms and legs. Okay, the Krig does beat it there, but the Kilo is still better all the way out here to 85 or so meters, where that next damage range hits. So once again, the Krig is not dominant. Okay, let's scroll up and check out headshots. Okay, once again with headshots, it's the Kilo, right? Now the Kilo, once it hits that next damage area, it's no longer dominant here. The QBZ takes over, and the QBZ wins after this next damage range. So that's headshots. So the QBZ does win a lot in the TTK area, but so does the Kilo, which is pretty crazy. And the Krig doesn't seem to win all that much. So is it laser beamy? Yeah, sure it is. But does it have as good of a TTK as either one of these guns? In most cases, no. Okay, so now let's check out something else. I want to show you the stats of these guns. Okay, so here we have all these weapons here. This is the builds. All right, the Kilo build over here. You guys are probably, if you've played with the Kilo back in the day, it's the same loadout that everybody used, and that hasn't changed because this is the meta build for this gun. Krig 6, this is the current meta build for that gun, and the QBZ follows the same. It follows the same list of attachments. So this is pretty much, these are meta builds. So let's go down and take a look here. All right, so we got fire rate. Looks like Kilo wins. An ADS time. QBZ does win here, so the ADS speed, it's faster for the QBZ. This is one of the reasons that I've been saying for quite a while now. The QBZ is dominant in the AR category for movement. Okay, let's check the rest of these out here. Movement speed. Okay, once again, QBZ. The Kilo is no slouch for a Modern Warfare gun, but the Krig does beat it, of course, because it's a Cold War gun, and then the QBZ beats the Krig. Another reason that I've been saying the QBZ is great for an AR. Movement speed overall too. The Kilo's relatively slow compared to these other two guns, but once again the QBZ wins in movement. One area Modern Warfare guns usually beat Cold War guns is in bullet velocity. It tends to make them feel a little bit more hit scan, like you pull the trigger and the enemy gets hit. You pull the trigger, enemy gets hit. There's no time between when you pull the trigger and the enemy gets hit. It's a 1300 meters per second basically for the Kilo, and then a little bit less for the Krig and the QBZ. But once again here, the QBZ has a faster bullet velocity than the Krig does. These are all beamy guns. They all feel closer to hit scan than a lot of other weapons in the game. So I don't think the bullet velocity really here makes a whole lot of difference. Reload time is the same thing. The difference here is negligible. I don't think that makes a lot of difference, and they all have 60 round mags. So what have we learned from this graph here? The Kilo is not terrible for in any of these categories. It's obviously not a Cold War gun. It's a Modern Warfare gun. But I think we've learned that as far as movement and ADS and things like that, the QBZ is actually king among these three. So now let's take a look at some recoil patterns. Okay, first up is the Krig. So it does go up and a bit to the left, and then it takes that hard juke to the right, but then it does curve upwards and continue going upwards pretty much straight. Very little horizontal bounce from those bullets, and that's one of the key factors that makes the Krig one of the more accurate assault rifles in the game. Next up is the QBZ. Pretty much just goes straight up. Very little bullet bounce, horizontal bounce left and right. An extremely accurate assault rifle. I consider this one of the easiest recoil patterns in the entire game. And people that think the Krig is easy to control, I usually tell them you got to try the QBZ. And you can see that right here. And now for the Kilo. Pretty much just goes up and to the left, and it's got that very tight grouping of bullets in the last half of that recoil pattern. This is an extremely easy gun to use. The recoil pattern's got a very low magnitude. I mean, look how short that is compared to the other ones. Between the Krig, the QBZ, and the Kilo, these are the three easiest assault rifles to control in the entire game. Okay, so let's take a look at the meta builds for all three of these guns. Okay, so here's the meta build for the Krig, and this is the meta build for the QBZ. Last but not least, the meta build for the Kilo. The Kilo isn't the only Modern Warfare assault rifle that actually competes with the Krig. Check out this video to see 3 more Modern Warfare assault rifles that have better TTKs than the Krig does.